In this short video, we're going to look at the permit approval process for the SODEXO work permit system. So the permit has been prepared to a point now where it is ready to be sent for approval. So the permit, the person seeking approval then can, within the permit, hit this button, request for approval. The list of the current work permit approvers within SODEXO will appear here. And this scenario, I'm going to select Glenn as the person who's going to receive a notification. I'm also going to add my own self here just for the purposes of the demonstration. So inside here, Glenn will receive an email and it's going to be asked to approve it. Note what happens on the bottom of the screen. Two new buttons appear, approve and reject. Glenn can go through the permit system here, and if he's happy with everything, he can hit the approve button. You should also note that at the bottom of your permit system, you now have 4 steps appearing as well. There's 2 ways we can go through these 4 steps. One is where we go through and everything is signed off electronically. And step 2, which is the way it's going to be used in SODEXO in the interim, is going to be where the permit can be prepared by SODEXO, given to the contractor in printed format, and then the contractor can do the work on paper, give back the paper copy at the end of the day, and then it can be uploaded on the system and SODEXO can close it. The important steps here though is that the permit has now been approved and we want to progress through the life cycle of the permit to get the permit completed at the end of the day or the end of the job by the permit holder. And we then want to go to the final step, which is permit closure, which in this case is typically by the client. So the first step here is we're going to sign in and we're going as Glenn, and Glenn is going to look through the permit, and if he's happy he can come here and do that. Now Glenn will be the only person who can do that, as just for the training purposes I can act on behalf of Glenn. So as I said, Glenn would have got an email saying that you need to approve it. When Glenn approved the permit holder would also have got an email back to saying this permit is now approved. So in this scenario, it's possible to do everything electronically. In this case, we can come through and we can just sign it off as either an employee of SODEXO or a contractor. In this case, the contractor we're selecting is Dan. I'm going to select it. And again, just note the text behind each person or behind each step, that what they're actually signing for. So they're accepting it and they're saying that they're going to do the works as described in step 1, and also the person responsible for ensuring and support is displayed at the top of the work. Now, inside in this, Dan Gallagher is listed further up the permit as the contractor, and Glenn was listed also as the employee. The employees are typically the SODEXO employees. So this is at 8 o'clock in the morning. If we wanted as well at this stage, I'm going to just hit the print button as well, just to show you. In this case, the permit comes through and we have all the details on the permit. We can print this permit and we can give it to the contractor, print it and save it. Typically a PDF comes through, and then work on a paper equivalent. At 4 o'clock in the evening, the contractor in this case would come back, or the permit holder, and they'll say they declare all persons, equipment, tools under control have been withdrawn, and the details above have been either satisfactorily completed or stopped and abandoned, and the system is made safe pending further works. So in case I'm going to come through, the job is done, I'm going to come in as a contractor and I'm going to sign it. If I had a copy of the permit, then I can upload that permit copy here, or file and browse and upload it that way as well. Now, as a permit holder, at the end of the day, I want to change the status to complete. So I'm going to come down here now, hit the complete button, and that's going to change the status of the permit. And now the button down here is closed. So it comes into Glenn at this stage. It is possible in time that if you wanted to build in additional checks for certain types of permits, for example, hot work, to ensure the 1 hour post-work check is done and 2 hour post-fire work check is done, it's possible to build in as additional checks in step 3. That'll prevent the permit holder from closing it until they additionally state that those additional checks are done as well. But that's a future evolution, but that's also available through the system. So we're back into step 4. The permit is now being completed by the permit holder. Step 4 then is where the client, in this case Glenn, will come back in and he's going to say that the work above has been completed or left in a safe state. And basically all safeguards have been reinstated and the work area equipment is returned to safe status and no hazards remain in respect to these works. So that'll be Glenn coming through because Glenn was selected further up. We can save that, and down below now what Glenn can do is to change the status from complete to closed is to hit this button over here, and he can come through just like that. The status of the permit at all times will, the main changes will be visible down here, okay, as we go through, and we can see the evolution of the permit just like that. And there will also be change logs available as well. Just one final note, in this case, before the permit is closed in step 4, there is one other option available in the menu, and that's if you want to roll back the permit to previous state. You can take it back to the approved status or pending approval or the draft. So there may be a permit you want to take out of circulation as well, and you can do this, but you have to have the administrator role to be able to go back and change the status of the permits.